Welcome to Fight News Now. I'm your host, John Pollock. Coming up, we're going to be chatting with John Ramdeen and Robin Black about all of today's news, including a new light heavyweight bout that is being pegged for UFC 198 in May, as well as a lightweight bout that is now being moved to UFC 199 coming up in June, and what is the latest that is going on with professional mixed martial arts in the state of New York. You're also going to hear from Steve Bosse, who is in action this Saturday in Brisbane, Australia at the UFC Fight Night event, and we'll take a look at that night's main event involving heavyweights Frank Mir and Mark Hunt coming up on today's edition of Fight News Now. And I'm here with John Ramdeen and Robin Black to chat about today's news. And guys, man, I mean, there's sometimes that some fight announcements really grab your attention, and here we are in Brazil, and we're going to get Shogun versus Anderson. I mean, this is massive for Brazil.
It's huge.
Unfortunately, once you click on said story, it is Corey Anderson that is fighting Mauricio Shogun Rua.
Corey Anderson Silva?
No Silva involved in this one at all.
Hey, listen, this is what this fight is. And what the interesting part about this is, hey, Shogun, where you at, man? Where are you at?
We know where he's at.
Where you at, motherfucker?
We know where he's at.
No, but I mean, where are you at? Are you going this way where some young up-and-comer will be heading up, ready to take you? I mean, OSP took him out. Is Corey Anderson in a position to be able to do that? Shogun's still in his 30s. Shogun is a UFC champion. Shogun is one of the greats. He must go and take out Corey Anderson. If he doesn't, he's at a different stage of his career than we thought he was at. On the other hand, Corey Anderson, hey man, this is exactly what you want to be able to go, no, I really should be in the top 10. That's where they find each other. And if Corey Anderson is going up and Shogun is still plateauing or moving up, he should be able to lay Anderson out. That's the story of this fight.
Now, I think if you're objective about things, and you give us your assessment, where is Shogun? Where is Mauricio Rua in the landscape? Is this guy closer to a title shot, or as you pointed out, is he closer to ending his career? And I think if we're all objective, it's closer that he's nearing the end of his career opposed to getting a crack at the 205-pound championship. I think we recognize that. I think we understand the type of fighter that Shogun is. I think it's the responsibility of the UFC to give this guy an interesting matchup with a legend. Let Corey Anderson fight the Tom Lawlers and all the other guys that are in his wake going up that ladder. I just don't know if this fight makes sense.
Hey, man, it's a tough one because if you're Shogun and you've got a Rashad Evans, that's a fight that you can win, and it's a fight that doesn't really make people go, hey, people want to right away, hey, maybe you should think about stop and maybe this, maybe that. Shogun doesn't want to be dealing with that. He wants to go out there and lay out Corey Anderson in Brazil, so there's no talk of that, and then he can look forward to another legend. I mean, this is one of the great fighters. This is one of the great fighters of, is it another generation? Is it a past generation? Or is it still today? That's what this fight's about for Shogun. It's not a fight he asked for. It's not a fight he would ask for. It's a fight that's been forced on him, and he either now has to say, stop this conversation entirely or admit where he may be at.
Yeah, and I mean, in the case of Corey Anderson, I mean, I make the joke off the top. I'm not ragging on this guy. He looked very impressive, I thought, against Jan Blachowicz. It wasn't a very pretty fight with Tom Lawler. But
I think I had Lawler winning that fight.
Some did.
Very
the second was extremely close. A 29-28 card for Tom Lawler was totally conceivable in that fight. But I think Corey Anderson didn't really get a lot of momentum out of that kind of a fight against Tom Lawler that was so close, and 196 is not going to be remembered for Corey Anderson's win. But this fight, going to Brazil against Shogun Rua, and Corey Anderson has the ability to get a massive win over a name opponent. And I think that for a lot of these fighters, if they do want to continue going, you're not necessarily going to be given just favorable, non-important fights when it comes to rankings. Shogun wants to be competing. He is going to get the likes of Corey Anderson.
And I agree. And I think this is, if you're Corey Anderson, it's like, certainly I will take this fight with Shogun because I'm going to leapfrog over a number of fighters at 205 pounds. You see, when you are objective and you look at the top of the division, yes, John Jones, the number one guy, Daniel Cormier's the current number one guy and the champion. Underneath him, you have Anthony Johnson and Alexander Gustafsson and Teixeira. So you have to get through a number of those guys in order to get your crack at the UFC title. However, you get an impressive victory over Shogun, you may be able to jump one or two of those guys and only have to face a Gustafsson or Teixeira. Only. I say
I
only.
will say, and this is not to say easy by any stretch, but if you compare every weight class, the path of least resistance to a title shot is at light heavyweight.
Or flyweight.
Till you get to the top 3 or 4,
Sure,
and then it's some serious resistance. But we got Chase over on one camera, we got Huffman on another, Derek on another. Raise your hand if you'd rather see Tom Lawler in this fight.
Well,
You know what I mean?
one can see the problem.
And here's the thing. What that means is Tom Lawler or anybody like that who kind of has that bit of excitement, that bit of a way to kind of grab attention, which Tom Lawler has. Corey Anderson needs these kind of chances because guys like Corey Anderson advance by winning fights. They advance by having great fights. They advance by beating people, not by having cool outfits or talking really interesting. So it's a huge chance for Corey Anderson.
We move on over because a lightweight fight that was originally pegged for May on this card in Brazil is now being moved. Evan Dunham had a slight injury, so they have pushed it now to UFC 199 on June the 4th as he takes on tough Brazil winner Leonardo Santos. Evan Dunham is someone that has made a big turnaround. I mean, someone that a massive prospect a number of years back, and then he went into a slide after the Melvin Guillard loss, but he has significantly rebounded. I mean, we saw the performance against Joe Lozon.
Yeah.
This is someone that I think is putting everything together at this point, and it shows the depth at lightweight when Evan Dunham is not one of the top lightweights you think of, but an extremely talented one.
Yeah, and what I love about this matchup, the same thing can be said for Leo Santos, because I think if you look at Leo Santos' his career, his background, this is a guy that submitted George St. Pierre in jiu-jitsu or no-gi grappling. But we've seen the improvements he's made in the stand-up department. That fight with Kevin Lee, we expected Kevin Lee to go and maybe take this fight down to the ground. Instead, Leo Santos showed us his improved striking abilities, and you see his confidence is through the roof as he takes Kevin Lee down to the ground. And there you see the counter, just landing that cross and going to town. So I think this is an excellent matchup. If the fight goes down to the ground, Leo Santos is the man, but Evan Dunham, he's been in the fire. He has very, very high fight IQ, and this is an excellent matchup.
Yeah, Evan Dunham has always been literally a guy who belongs in the top 10 and beyond at 155, and that's still true today. It's just easy to forget that when Evan Dunham realized, hey, if I go in there and just bite down and go a little nuts, I'm going to make $50,000 extra dollars every time I fight. I'll win some of those and I'll lose some of those, but I'll get an extra 50. And he fought that way for a little while. Evan Dunham can beat guys in every position. He won't be afraid to go to the mat with Leo Santos. Talk to anybody that's ever trained with him at Extreme Couture. They'll tell you this guy's a monster on the ground.
The question is, I'm going to cut you off there. I'm sure Gunnar Nelson felt the same way when he fought Damian Maia. It's like, oh, I hang with everybody. Leo Santos is a different level. You know, this is a guy that's been a champion. Is that really an area you want to test yourself?
I don't think he wants to go there. I don't think he's saying, I'm going to go out and try to be on the ground with Leo Santos. But I think that Leo Santos has done what a lot of guys do. And I think this is, if you're not Damian Maia, the exception, and the exceptions are for the exceptional. You convert your jiu-jitsu and add wrestling, and you become an MMA fighter with elite jiu-jitsu. Damian Maia is still just an elite, and I don't mean this in any way derogatory to his other skills, but he's still an elite of the elite in jiu-jitsu. And Gunnar Nelson had a jiu-jitsu fight with him.
Yeah, right.
Evan Dunham, on the ground, will have a mixed martial arts contest with him. I think we'll see it a little bit there. I think Dunham on the feet is... Dunham is underrated everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
He's underrated everywhere. And very interesting thing, you want to be either the best fighter or the most exciting fighter. He was one of the best fighters who shifted to be one of the most exciting fighters for a while. I think he's shifting back now to show that he's one of the best fighters.
All right, we talked earlier this week about World Series of Fighting lightweight champion Justin Gaethje, a very impressive win over Brian Foster last Saturday night in Denver, Colorado. Well, as he was celebrating, he climbed up and did his backflip off of the top. Now, the commission has come out. They are giving him an indefinite suspension because of this. And worth noting the fact they did tell him ahead of time, do not do this, or you will be suspended as a result of this. I mean,
give the guy a break. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to entertain the fans. He's trying to put more food on his plate. Right now, the landscape of mixed martial arts is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and in North America anyways, and it's Bellator. These fighters here are doing whatever they can to try to get a tiny piece of what the big shows are doing. And if that means Eddie Alvarez did it, he's jumped off the cage a number of times.
Many have.
Yeah.
And riddle me this. How did they know to think that he might do it? Because he does it. He's done it in many other commissions, and nobody said anything because it's acceptable. It's fine. This a bunch of guys going, we want to control what you do when you celebrate. I get it. There are rules. There are these things. We're going to control what you do. We're going to tell you how it's going to go down. And if you argue with us, we're going to suspend you indefinitely. What is this, Nick Diaz? Like, commissions are very important, dramatically important, but this is just nonsensical abuse of power. Shame on you guys.
Well, I don't know if backflips will be part of the bill in New York to get professional mixed martial arts legalized, but from the latest report that Newsday came out with, I mean, every year they are able to get this bill passed, but it never reaches the floor to actually be voted on. Here we are with yet another year, and they're stating that there are enough Democrats alone to pass this. They believe it will be voted on next week, and if that happens, it could actually happen this year. I will wait until it happens.
I think it's going to happen.
We wanted to.
Yeah.
We wanted to.
We're all going to go down to New York, and we're going to watch some awesome fights. Maybe Chris Weidman will be fighting.
Okay, well, I don't know if anyone will be allowed to do a backflip, though, within the state of New York.
John Jones, you can do a backflip.
We shall find out. All right, that wraps it up for us, but we have much more coming your way on Fight News Now, so stay tuned as we continue.